My thesis focuses on the arabisms that have influenced European languages. Through this thesis, I will try to make you enter the Arab world, analyzing the culture and language, and then find out together what have been the footsteps that this people has left in Europe, particularly in Italian, Spanish, and English culture. Therefore, I decided to analyze three languages from a linguistic and sociolinguistic point of view: Italian, Spanish, and English. The latter is not really descended from the same stock as the other two languages, since it derives from the Germanic one. But even though it is a completely different language and geographically distant from Arabic, it has managed to take some traits of this culture thanks to the phenomenon of modern immigration. I decided to deal with this topic because I discovered I had a passion for Arabic when I visited Egypt twice. I was just a little girl, but already at that time I was curious to understand and interpret what the Arab people were saying and writing. I felt attracted by that peculiar writing and that language full of sound, still unknown to me at that time. This passion remained dormant for some time, but at university it was reawakened, allowing me to overlook an extraordinary world and pushing me to focus on research and explanation of how two completely different peoples, the Arab and the European, still have something in common, much more than we think. We can say that Arab culture is rich and well-rooted beliefs. In fact, the Arabs are a very ancient people, dating back to the 7th century when Muhammad gave life to Islamism, creating a real people, complete and well-structured both culturally and socially. Their culture is very vast and religion plays a fundamental role. It is omnipresent and influences a lot of their daily life, the beliefs and the literature, which represents a mean of testimony of how the language changes and how it reacts to the cultural, religious and geographical influences. Arabic is a very ancient language and it is currently spoken by about 274 million people worldwide. It has a particular structure and it is based on an alphabet of 28 letters. It is this alphabet which managed to penetrate, besides some customs, in the territories conquered by Arabs and to define itself in lexemes, which with time become part of the language of the dominated territories. The so-called arabisms, also called exoticism, that is linguistic loans which gradually entered the vocabulary of a specific language. With their presence in the European territories, in particular in the south of Italy and in the Spanish peninsula, they succeed in unblocking a mentality which at that time was still unblocked in a dark Middle Age. Therefore, the Arab represent a sort of renaissance for Europe, which brought an opening and a revolution in all fields. In Italy, their first landing was in Sicily in 827, given the geographical proximity to North Africa called Ifriqiya and its strategic location that allowed the control of the central western Mediterranean Sea. With the passing of the time, the Arabs managed to conquer more and more Sicilian cities and managed to unite the two completely different cultures through the process of Arabization. The two peoples managed to face a peaceful coexistence which brought great benefits to the Sicilian people. Examples of these are the minarets and the decoration with azulejos, but also some traditions. In Spain, they arrived dates back to 711 when they settled in the peninsula, starting from Morocco and crossing the Strait of Gibraltar. They settled in the present Spain for about 700 years by implementing a real process of domination and in part also of coexistence. To indicate the Christian people was inserted the term Moxarabe, deriving from the Arab Ibaha, which means just Arabizato. This underlines the importance of the closeness between the two peoples and of the cohesion that was slowly formed between them, starting from the language itself. One of the most important literary testimonies in which is evident the Arabic influence in Spanish culture, it is the poem of the Cid Campeador, where the appellative used to call someone takes up the ya of the Arabic languages, and the Cid himself in Arabic it is translated with the term sir. A striking example of the footstep left by the Arabs is the city of Granada. But the link instead that exists between the Arab people and the English people is quite particular. We could analyze the word Allahu Akbar, used by jihadists a few moments before an attack, and that literally means good is great. To summarize the importance of modern immigration in English countries and how the two different cultures somehow managed to find a meeting point even in a heavy and critical context such as terrorism. To conclude, I would like to underline one of the other purposes of this paper, which is to widen the knowledge of a particular world that has always been considered different from ours, but that in reality has many points in common as evidenced by the analysis carried out.